Welcome back to the lab. So you would have seen I was mucking around with the turbocharger, shifting that on the right hand side of the march because it was too low and the oil was leaking through the seals while it's sitting there and blah 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 blah. Anyway, I said I was going to do something about the outlet flange on the turbocharger just to keep some people happier. Doubt it's going to make any difference at all to the performance of the car. Might control boost a little bit better, maybe, probably not. But anyway, so I've got that on the milling machine and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So here's our beautiful flange there. I did actually chew this out with the Dremel a little bit, just to try and get a little bit better flow, and started hacking away at this and thought, oh, this is going to take a long time. So won't take so long with a nice big milling machine. And well, it's not a big milling machine, is it? It's only a little puppy. But it won't take so long with that little beastie. Fire that up and chew out, I don't know, 5mm from here. Just give it a bit more gas flow, a bit more room for the gate to work. The gate does open quite a lot. I don't think it's restricting how far the gate opens at all. And we haven't had any issues with boost control. But people grizzle about it, so I've got time. So let's sort it out. So I've jumped ahead a couple of steps. That flange is now welded on the end of the pipe. Quite a long pipe. Got to get it dead right. I doubt it is. We'll fix that. And have that bit of a chew out with the milling machine, like I said I would. And then I attacked it with the Dremel. It's deeper than what it looks on the camera. It's about 5mm out of that, so there's probably 3mm of material left at the thinnest part, which should be fine for what it's doing. So let's see if it fits in the car. All appears to be pretty good. If you line up that one there with that one there, I think we're about right for the position. It's not 100% correct, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to look reasonable. And it's all on there. I can bolt them all up. Two pipes appear to be in the right spot at the back of the car. The big one will be whether the diffuser still fits on there. It looks like I have to realign the ends of those tips. They were never bang on anyway. Bloody noisy helicopter. Right, it actually all fitted up really well. So it was good. I didn't have to fiddle with that at all. That was literally bang on first attempt, welded up, put it on the car. It's quite a long distance from that tip to the actual turbo flange, so congratulations to myself. Even the passenger side one doesn't quite line up as well as the driver's one does, so that's good. Like I say, sorry, I walked away. Like I say, I've got to do some realigning on those tips. They're not bang on, they never have been, so that probably needs a little tweak. Excuse the noise of that. And when I get a bit more time, I'm actually going to put a bracket of some description from this rear subframe onto the pipes, just to take some of the load off. It's quite a long distance from here all the way to the turbo. Quite a bit of weight moving around there, and it does tend to stretch the bolts on those turbine flanges. Those ones that you can see there, they tend to stretch a little bit. It blows out the gaskets, so need to sort that out. But other than that, we're done. I ran this up yesterday. Didn't fire up the camera to show you guys that because I had to keep the running time as brief as possible to keep my neighbours happy. So anyway, Gloria's up on the hoist again to get it out of the way. And we're looking at this, the instrument panel set up on the Gloria. So we've already been here, done a little bit. We've got an electric motor to drive our speedo. That's cool. Fuel gauge, that'll be the same. No change there at all. Still using the original tank and sender, etc. Pardon me. Water temperature gauge for the engine. Not going to use that one. Well, I might wire it up so it works, but we'll see. Probably not going to use it at all. Original factory stereo lived in here. I had chewed that out to fit a aftermarket single DIN stereo in there. However, we've now progressed from having a stereo in there to having the stereo down here in a custom center console, which I've yet to make. I'll probably have to shift this light switch here somewhere else. Plenty of room for that. I don't know, whatever this is probably doesn't work anymore, so we'll put it there, something like that. Move it somewhere else anyway. What we're going to do today, we're going to have a look at this lot here, which was all stolen from the Sylvia, the drift car project. So we're going to pillage the water temp, boost gauge and oil pressure gauge, and I'm going to have to come up with some crazy contraption to fit those three into there and keep everything looking nice and beautiful. That'll work out quite well, I reckon. So that's obviously singled in slot, and those gauges just sitting there quite nicely. Now what I've got to do is come up with some sort of backing plate so we don't have a massive hole around all the gauges. Okay, so that's the little panel slash trim slash mount for the gauges all done. Pretty thin on the edges there, eh? Really sketchy thin. Doesn't matter because that's only to stop dust, just to fill in the hole, really, isn't it? The reason for that, those gauges are like 50 millimeters at the base and then 52 at the top end there, so they actually get fatter. I don't know if you can see it in the video there. They get fatter as they go towards the gauge face, which I didn't account for when I designed the little plate, and once I was kind of committed to doing it that way, I sort of thought I might as well forge ahead and see if we can get it done. I'm pretty sure it'll come out an absolute mint. So it's designed, it's got the tapered edges, so it sits in here nicely, butts up to that side there, and comes just short of the clock on the other side there. So by the time you put it in there and put the gauges in, you'll barely notice there's even a panel there. I hope. I'll wait for that paint to dry and I'll bang it in the hole and see what we've got. Alright, that's pretty cool. Works well. Not sure if that's a little bit of daylight. We can see it at the top there. Oh yeah, a little bit of daylight through there. So you're not going to see it in the car. We could still look in behind that to sort that out, but you're certainly not going to notice it with a bit of darkness in behind it. So that's going to be okay, I guess, in the scheme of things. Pretty difficult dash to work with. It's such a low profile. Like, it's not really any higher than the cell phone screen, and it's quite wide, so we'll see. So the old temp gauge, like I said on the side there, we won't use that one. We'll use this one over here. If I can make it work, I'll wire it up so it goes, but I'm not bothered about that. We also have a tachometer that was on that instrument cluster out of the race car, but really there's nowhere to put it in here and still have good access to your speedometer viewing, so might look at something, see what I can come up with just now. Yeah, I've been putting this off. I could have got started on this some time ago, but really, in my line of work, there's nothing more frustrating and horrible and hard to get motivation for than fixing someone else's, let's say, less than ideal workmanship. Yeah, so I'm going to make a phone call to someone in the industry, in the panel beating industry, just to double check that what I'm going to do is actually deemed suitable for repairing such a thing, in case this gets picked up in the Low Volume Vehicle Technical Association certification, and they might decide that it needs a repair cert or something like that. And if they do, I want to make sure that what I've done complies with the regs, other than being like tradesman-like. It'll be a decent repair, I don't do crap, but I want to make sure that what I've done actually is by the book. So, phone call to be made, and I'll get back into it. Well, that's about the only way that's going to be repaired properly. So much bloody weld and crap in there. Great big holes, as you can see right there, and behind all the bird shit. I use that term deliberately. So what I've done there, I've taken that radius, the return, pinch weld, whatever you want to call it, taking that back to the bottom of that radius there, all the way along there, TIG welded the floor that's on the inside there that actually supports the seat belt. The end of my finger is in the end of the seat belt nut, captivated nut. So it's pretty important for that to be done right, because that's actually holding a person in their seat. So yeah, floor welded to chassis rail. This has been trimmed back a little bit while we're at it to give us a little bit more room for the tyre, wheel and tyre. This has all been panel beated back so it's flush with that. And there'll be an insert go in here. Can overlap a little bit on both sides, it won't matter. And I could butt weld or lap weld, doesn't matter, either way, whatever. So I'll just do that in stages. I've tidied up that little bit. It's actually about time to go and have lunch. There's a rear firewall here, so I'll chop this next piece out. After lunch I might as well go all the way back to here, give us some more room in this general area at the back here and get rid of this big pile of crap. I have to pull the fuel system out of the boot and take, sorry I'm making a shadow there, and take all the sound dampening off the material in this area. That's why I stopped here. I can do that but really easily just to make a start on it, make myself feel better. Yeah, fun and games, awesome fun. Oh, where is it? Somewhere here. Handbrakes don't make very good benches, by the way. That's the inside of that horrendous mess that we're dealing with just now. I mean, that's, you know, that's 20 millimeters away from where a seatbelt is. That's that's the other side of it. And yeah, some of that's me just cutting it out, but most of it, that's pretty much how it was. So yeah, disgusting. Okay, so I got a bit carried away. I've taken all of that sound dampening material that was on the boot floor, the lining, pulled the whole lot off. Didn't really have to, only had to do just around that general area there. We were doing that in a guard repair, but got on with it, just took the whole lot off because we do want to replace all that anyway. So the whole floor is going to be stripped back, get rid of this surface rust. That's why it's quite important when you see little things like this on cars, just fix that. It's not actually a fancy piece of rubber or anything, that's just generic rubber you can get from Para Rubber, etc. So yeah, because someone didn't do that, we ended up with whole heap of water in the boot, or the previous owner did, and that seeped in between that sound dampening material and the steel floor. The steel floor is rusting, so now I've got to fix it. Cool bananas. I'll just grab the torch. I'll show you something hard case that's up inside in the darkness there we can't see at the moment. In there, that's MIG wire that's poked through from the outside. Look how close that is to the fuel tank. You reckon they drained the fuel out or took the fuel tank out? They didn't take the seatbelt out of the way when they're doing the rest of it. It must have been pretty close to kaboom, no more car. There's that ugly repair. It's a bit hard to see it from here, but it's the ugly repair that we've been looking at from the outside. Yeah, she's pretty yucky. So after a significant amount of work, we've chopped out all the rubbish. I've given those welds a quick grind over the top with the flappy disc on the angle grinder. You're not really supposed to do that for low volume cert type stuff, but this is more of a panel repair thing than a cert process thing, so that should do the trick. It's quite flush. You can barely feel the little ridge along the edge of the chassis rail there, and by the time we put some under seal on it like this stuff here, you probably won't even see it. I'll tidy up the inside edge that you can see in here. I'll give that on the other side, I'll give that a bit of a grind with a flappy disc as well, and back here as well, even though that's going to have some under seal type stuff put on there. It's 3 o'clock and I think it's time to go and have a cold drink, some crackers and cheese. And then next thing on the list is to do something with that crush tube. That's the bolt for the shock absorber, and the bolt head sits out on this side, and it's going to foul with the tyres because we're going to run as big a tyres as we can, wheels and tyres, so we need to get rid of that. I'll basically put a hole saw across that on either side, knock it out and make a fitting up to go in there to do away with that. Jeez, big day. Alright, cheers for watching guys. More updates soon. Cheers, bye.